Hello, everyone, and welcome to Answer the Call. We're going to try something that I've wanted to do for a while. I'm going to basically set a little timer on everybody, and we're going to try to keep the show around an hour. Today's topic is Star Citizen Needs Purpose. I was talking in Discord with some people last night on my way home from work, and we were talking about something that used to be in Star Citizen that is no longer there. And I look back to Jumptown, the original Jumptown. You guys remember the original Jumptown? There was a little element to the game that created a bit more risk when going to that Jumptown. And what was it? It was anytime your ship exploded, or unfortunately, anytime you had to claim your ship, any upgraded components, any changes you made to your ship were gone. The ship you got back from insurance was stock. As far as we know, that is still the plan with basic insurance. They have mentioned other types of insurance. And today's title is Star Citizen Needs Purpose. And I look at this one thing that we used to have. I'm not looking for Star Citizen for Tony Z to just come out with Quanta. I'm not looking for the Pyro system to come out and have this huge story arc or crazy. Like, I am not looking for the pace of Star Citizen's development to go any faster than it is right now, because I don't expect it to. We all know Squadron 42 is the priority. I'm looking for ways to make even 3.17 a little bit better. And the one thing that I always look towards is struggle. Really good MMOs, really good games in general, create a struggle that they don't monetize, right? Star Citizen creates a struggle that they monetize. You know, hey, I can't get this ship. I have to earn it in game. It takes a lot of money to get that. So might as well buy one, right? Might as well just buy one on the website. I'm not talking about stuff like that. I'm talking about losing your ship components in game. Can't really buy ship components, especially not the best ones, outside of in-game credits. So you're really truly looking for a gold sink. Any gold sinks in the game are going to be better than what we have now. And the reason I say that is, all right, let's look at a situation where I'm losing components. I want to get better quantum drives. I want to have a better shield. I want to have better weapons. And some of these things actually do matter. They really do make a difference, right? So I need money. And when you create a need to make money in game, and the purchases aren't as massive as something like a spaceship, you start making Star Citizen look like a sandbox. I argue a lot that people say Star Citizen is a sandbox because you have choice and you can sort of make your own fun and things like that. And I think what actually makes games a sandbox is you have these hurdles you need to climb, whether it's a skill gain or some progression path or something like that. But what makes the game a sandbox outside of that is you have a ton of choice about how you're going to climb over that hurdle. Are you going to go around it? Are you going to go over it? Are you going to go around it to the left? Are you going to go under it? If you have a situation where you have enough gold sinks, let's say, fuel costs, repair costs, claim costs, and losing your components. Now you have like sufficient gold sinks where your money's not always going up, but sometimes it takes a big hit and goes down. Now I need to earn money. Now the game feels like a sandbox because I'm going out there and going, yeah, I need to earn money. How do I like to earn money? Well, I probably would go mining, me personally. You guys might do something else. Now the game's starting to look like a sandbox, right? Now the game's starting to feel like I have choice. Because what's interesting is a game that kind of gives you, puts some walls in front of you that you need to break through, but then gives you a bunch of choices on how you're going to do it. That's, I think, what a good game is, right? Is it gives you a couple hurdles you got to climb, but how you climb them is when there's a bunch of different choices and it's unique. That's cool. So I look at this and go, I think this is something we need to create that purpose in the game. I want a reason to go mining, because at some point, once your alpha UEC continues to go up, that reason just starts to get lower and lower and lower, right? And I think that there's big, overarching, huge things that can happen to Star Citizen in the short and long term that we're going to start seeing happening, right? Persistence, big one. Another huge one that they've talked about before, I'm not really sure where it sits on the roadmap. Long-term reputation, right? So you murder somebody, that murder stays with you. Things like that. That will really start to bring more purpose to the game. Think about pirates in the game now. They just clear their crime stat and they're wiped clean. Well, long term, when you have these systems that the game company is actively working to develop, yeah, that'll create purpose. But I'm talking more like a short-term solution, some gold sinks, man. Give me reasons to jump in game and feel like I need to earn some money, right? I'm going to open it up to the callers. That was about a 5 to 7 minute little intro there. I'm going to try to keep everybody around 10 minutes. So our first caller is Derpiest Turtle. Turtle, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Is my audio good?
Your audio is good. I got to turn you up just a tiny bit, but you're good.
Okay.
I'm not sure what name's going to come up here, so this should be funny. Yeah, I actually was just talking and I'm not ready for the show at all. So hold on.
No,
I just
you're
realized
good.
this.
I had to write down some notes based on what you were saying.
Here we go. Now I'm ready. But yeah, so go ahead and let me know what you think of my thoughts. I mean, I'm sure you have your own arguments here, but
I mean,
you have
I
the
agree
floor.
with what you're saying. Oh, sorry. I agree with what you're saying that there should be more purpose in the game. And some I wrote down was like need to load missiles manually, an ability to repair components, the fuel cost increase I agree with. Struggle is hard to implement as like 30Ks are constant and someone can do a bunch of prep time and maybe with persistence that'll help, but we still don't have the rejoin the last server you were on button, so your progress might not be how you want it to be just
Hmm.
because of their server performance. So it's
I will
hard
say this
to
though, I'm tired of
pinpoint it.
hearing the excuses of why we can't
Mm.
do things
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and why it's too hard and why it's not good enough. And that's why we have a game with emptiness and nothing in it. Is like, I'm sick of the fucking excuses. No
Yeah.
offense.
No, that's
But
alright.
that's all we do is we just continue to make excuses about why we can't have fun instead of them trying to find solutions to make it more fun. Stop making excuses. Do what you can.
I mean, yeah, it's true. Like when we were playing and your body didn't show up when you went back to it, like that's just the consequence of you not like keeping your inventory, but that's just how it is. It
Yeah.
has to be like that or else it wouldn't be immersive. So it's hard, but it's not impossible. So you have to pass the boundary of like this is what we should do because it would make the game better. Not just because of our crappy server performance, because sometimes they just have to implement stuff
We all
for
know
the
there's
future.
bugs, man. We know there's
Yeah.
bugs. We know there's problems. If it's, you got to add more on top of that. You got to add
Yeah.
more to the experience. We know that stuff's going to happen.
That's why they do complicated like animations for AI that don't even work. They just have to do it. They have to put it out. Or else they're
Yes.
gonna have to build upon that later on and they're just like I wouldn't see that as a plausible thing.
Yeah, and that's the argument I'm trying to make, is that they constantly work on AI even though they know it's not going to work for us.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
you
At the
you
moment.
still you
Yeah.
still need to add purpose to the game and create reasons to play, even
Yeah.
though that may not make the experience as ideal in the alpha state that we're in.
Yeah. I also wrote expedite would be longer, like expedite times for bigger ships or any ships. Could depend on location as well for like corporations. Like a Crusader ship would be faster to claim by Crusader than Microtech.
They tried
Um,
this. The community raged and they rolled back.
really, they did
Hmm.
that?
Yep. It
Wow.
was in a PTU.
How could the community do this?
Because
Um,
I don't think
Go ahead.
punishment for waiting, I don't think waiting punishment creates purpose. See, like the
Yeah, but
arguments that
it's
I
more
made
like a
were
fear
gold
thing.
sinks, not time sinks. We have enough time sinks. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, I'd see that perspective.
Yeah.
I agree. Criminal record. I would like to see that implemented. I mean, like you were saying, if someone murders someone, they're hoping that it's more of a lasting thing, so
Hmm.
they can't just wipe the slate. Like if you scan someone, it'll like list all their criminal charges or something. Something like that. I don't know. And for features in the game, I wrote something entirely different, but if it's besides that, then that's all I really have to say. Because
No, I
I
mean, feel free. You still have
uh,
time if you want to keep going.
okay. I put exploration gameplay, but it was more like mobile home gameplay and like the expansion of systems. And I heard what you said about that, like why go somewhere? It's just another like visual thing. But mobile home gameplay is kind of important because you can pick whatever planet you like to be around and live around that area, and maybe you want to go to that planet just because you like it. Or like you said with Pyro, there's actually reasons to have certain types of ships because you don't have every available like loop. Like you're not gonna have somewhere to respawn as easily or as safely unless you have like an Apollo or a tier 2 ship. You won't be able to repair easy unless you have rep, refueling the same thing, rearming the same thing, um, getting revived or something. Like it's going to be harder if you don't have people going around in medical ships or places where you can respawn. Resource collection, maybe that type of thing. And it has to do with the expansion of systems because maybe some places have some things and some don't. And sometimes it is kind of a visual thing as well. Reputation. I would like to see reputation expanded since the last time we talked about it. I just thought about it more and more about certain things. The ships has to do with the expansion of loops that aren't available. I put bases and outposts, crafting, farming, and science.
I
Is
mean,
my
this is
audio nice?
all way out there.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah,
I
yeah.
just
It's not as close.
the pyro system is still something that I just
Hmm.
will pyro make things more interesting. Yes, but it doesn't
Hmm.
actually give a purpose in the same way as like you can create the same or similar struggles in the Stanton system, and they need to.
True.
It's the only difference with pyro is it's bigger, and there may not be as many landing zones, right? So when you
Yeah,
die, you probably go back through the jump point. And
yeah, because your brain is quantum entangled to the hospital or whatever.
yes, but
Yeah.
this is like the most minuscule amount of purpose. Like people might request my refueling or something like that, but I'm talking
Hmm.
about every day logging into the game and having a number of cards in front of you and going, well, I need to do this today. And it's not like your dailies necessarily, because I think dailies are really toxic in MMOs and just like not fun at all.
What's
Um,
dailies? I don't know what that is.
dailies are like there's daily quests that rotate and they're not interesting. They don't add to the experience at all.
Hmm.
It's just you have to do them to get certain rewards, basically. And the rewards are
Hmm.
worth it. Therefore, you feel like you have to do the dailies. Like, I don't think that that's
Hmm.
what makes a good MMO or a good sandbox or a good anything. I think it's uh you still need the that choice and that uh I guess the player can choose what they want to do more. With dailies, you basically feel
Yeah.
like you have to do them.
Yeah, I mean, I would like more missions. Like, even with mining, I would like a mission for mining or something.
But
Like,
again,
oh,
what
I
does
need
that
this
do?
material.
What does it do? Like, let's get down to the nitty
Rep.
gritty and get down to it. What does it provide you? What would a mining mission provide you today that that going out and mining yourself doesn't? It just gives you money.
Reputation.
What reputation for what? Again, like we got to
Like
talk
for a
about
facility.
317. We got to talk about 317. You got to
Like
talk
maybe a
about
specific location.
you got to talk about what you have now and go what needs to change to give you purpose. Earning reputation does what?
Cheaper costs for trading, maybe?
Which gives you what? Money. You're still on the same thing.
Yeah, true.
You're still on the same thing.
Yeah.
How do other MMOs work? What do other MMOs do? It's like I gain skill, I gain rep, and it unlocks new and exciting experiences. It makes things more efficient, and I could do things faster, so I can do more things when I am playing in my gameplay session.
Yeah.
Right? That's
I
what
agree.
progression is in games. It's not earning more money. So, yeah, like reputation for missions should unlock new and exciting experiences, new and cool things. That's
Hmm.
that's kind of purpose, right? Not more money. We don't need more money. Everybody already has too much money, right? That's the argument here. I can maybe change the title to Star Citizen has too high inflation or something, right? Because that's truly the problem with it is
Yeah.
there's too much money going into the system and nothing coming out of it. And it
Yeah.
creates this problem where you're just like, okay, well, what do I do now? But
Yeah. I mean,
we're coming up
go
on the
ahead.
10-minute mark. So this is kind of where I want to try to get 5 of you guys in and do a full hour show. I had my 10 minutes. You have yours. So
Yeah.
final thoughts here, Derp, after we've had a bit of a back and forth.
I think you're absolutely right. And it's more excuses, but I struggle to see, besides the stuff I say stated, like how could they expand um what systems are in the game?
Yeah, I think it takes a lot of big things. It's going to take a lot of big things to truly give full purpose. But I
Yeah.
feel like the one quick and minor fix is money sinks right now.
Yeah. Like
And
the
what is the
fueling and
the
farming and stuff.
fueling, all that
Yeah.
stuff. What's the best money and honestly, not just losing your components, but your components getting damaged. And
Hmm.
like I don't know, if I remember correctly in some game that I played, I can't remember what it was, but every item started at like 255 durability. And when you repaired it, it was at 254 was the max durability. The next time, 253. And then eventually, it has such low durability that there's no point in using it anymore. So you put it on the
Genius.
shelf, right? And then you need to buy
That's
a new
genius.
one. Like it's not genius. It's fucking basic ass shit.
I mean, dude, you're smarter than I am, dude.
I'm not smart. I've just played the games. It's just basic. It's just basic things in other games. Taking something from another game and applying it to this one does not make me smart.
Yeah, but I would
It
have
just makes
never
them look
thought.
stupid that they haven't done it yet. That's really all it is.
I
Sad.
wouldn't have
It's
thought
sad, but
like I would have just thought, oh, you could just repair it. Like your repair tool has the exact blueprint, so it'll just repair everything as needed or something. Because
yeah,
they can just repair your body, but you know,
it just think about it. You repair your body and get your body back, but then there's DNA to it, like the DNA loss, and eventually your character will die.
yeah,
It's the
the
same
echoes.
concept, right?
Also, My last thoughts before I actually gotta go.
Yeah.
I hate Death of a Spaceman, though it has the fear purpose, like you're afraid to die, so you try to keep yourself alive. But I don't like it for as a game perspective, just in my own personal thoughts.
Okay.
And nerf the A2 and make the expedite cost more. That's right. Or make it to where you have to load the bombs manually every time you drop them. That's all I gotta say.
Well, we'll have Morph on the podcast later, so we'll see what his opinions are about that. All right.
All right. Nice talking to you, Mike.
All right. Later, bro.
Later.
Bye bye. Okay. Our next caller is going to be Night Cobb. Night Cobb, can you hear me?
I can.
All right. Turn you down a little bit. And let me get you here on screen. So, we've had my monologue and a second caller. Where are your thoughts here? How you feeling?
So you guys talked actually about a couple of things that I would have touched on, but I'll focus real quick on the short-term recommendations.
Hey, can you plug your mic in, unplug it? It's super staticky.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know if it's gonna work.
How's that?
No, it's still really bad. Do you have like are you using voice meter or something?
Sure am. I can kill that if you'd like, though.
No, okay. I'll tell you what to do. Night, I'm gonna send you next in line. Go to Control Alt Delete. Go to Task Manager. Go to Details. Go to Audio.g something. Set affinity to high, and set your CPU cores to not all, and set it to 2. Just CPU core 2, and that'll fix it.
Okay, sorry about that.
It just sounds like voice meter. I could hear it from a mile away. I'm going to bring in Ben, and then I'm going to bring you in, Night, okay?
No problem.
All right. We had somebody check the mics, too, and we still had this. I was confused. Ben, welcome.
Hey there.
I can't. Ben sounds like Morphologist, guys.
Discount Morph over
Yes.
here.
Can you nerf the A2, please?
Please nerf the A2.
There you go. So yeah, Ben, I kind of brought you in a little quick here. What are your thoughts on everything?
I think there are some very simple fixes that CIG could implement between patches, and I'm baffled that they haven't done some of these things in the past patches.
And we got to be careful with simple, because what we think is simple, it's
fair
not always
point.
simple.
That's a fair point. Yeah, it sounds simple to me, but I'm working on assumptions.
Yeah.
But what I think is simple is price changes. They could change prices of components, ships, between patches, and
Elite does.
Right?
Yep.
Right? Because to me there's a clear there are some clearly imbalanced commodities or ships in the game that like make no sense for progression. I could buy a Gladius for 1 million, which I could farm within a day. And that's pretty much one of the best fighters in the game. Like why isn't the price of that ship being increased? I don't know.
Yeah.
I could get a Retaliator for 4 million and do like the highest level missions and just become insanely rich. How? I don't know why they haven't rebalanced those prices, but that's mainly for ships. But the same would apply to components, right? XL1s, Atlas drives. Those things should be incredibly expensive in my eyes. You should want to buy the less efficient ones to progress towards those like high level components.
Yeah, I mean, and then even if you talk about the repair concept that I had before, if you could have some that aren't as good, but they have way more durability, industrial ones perhaps. They
Yeah,
might not be
that
the
would be cool.
fastest, they might not be the most efficient, they may not be the coolest or stealthiest, but they are meant to work heavy loads, deal with a lot of heat, and not have to be repaired as often, right?
Yeah. Um, along the lines of price changes they can make, I do agree that like refueling and repair should also be rebalanced and probably towards the higher price side. And part of that is I want travel to mean something. Right now, jumping to to another planet or just doesn't mean that much. It doesn't mean that much in terms of price, I guess. Most of the good components are in Microtech, right? I could just go there without much hurdle. I think I think it should cost you a lot to get to that point, and part of that would be like rebalancing, I know, quantum fuel, making it incredibly expensive to go to Microtech. But that's just how I think. Like, I don't think movement should be that free right now in Star Citizen. I think movement should be restricted to the point where you could afford to go to these planets or systems.
Hmm. How do I feel about that? The Stanton system being slower to move around now and having more meaning. I think the problem with that is still it doesn't change the problems that are in the game where that they intend and that they want to have in the game, which is I like your idea, but you need to have more to do around each planet before they do that.
I get that, yeah.
Right? And that's like always what I expected for Stanton. I expected if we were going to take this long, if it was going to take this long for Star Citizen to come out, the hope of mine was that they were going to fill all these places and moons and planets with interesting, unique, replayable, and purposeful content around each planet. Like, there was value to gaining rep with Hurston Security or the mission givers at each planet. There was something to it, right? There's nothing to it, so there's no point in making the travel be more meaningful.
That's true.
But I agree with
That's
you.
true, actually.
I want travel to be a part of that meaning.
Yeah, and a part of that is like, for example, bounty missions. It doesn't matter what planet I'm in. I could just gain the reputation and the types of enemies and missions I get there are all the same. Maybe you could do it so that actually no, that wouldn't work. You get to choose your spawn point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's problematic. Yeah. If you didn't get to choose your spawn point and everyone had to start in a certain area and you had to progress towards the other planets, that might be interesting, but that's not going to happen, I think. Let's see.
I'm at the same time messaging Cobb to try to fix his audio, so I'm listening. I'm sorry. It may
Yeah,
not
no
look like
problem.
I'm not, but
I'm just looking through my notes. What else I could go through? I mean, we're mainly looking at changes we could do, like really that we think we could do really soon, right? So we're not looking at PES. We're not looking at 318.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
PES is something that can really change stuff. Like we were talking earlier
Yeah.
when we were mining today. Like I think being able to remove the prospector bags, being able to remove the thing from the rock, could make mining more interesting, but it's still doesn't create purpose behind it. But it could create locations that have static items there that are interesting, that spawn in or something.
Actually, wait. In terms of money sinks, we've considered components breaking down or completely being destroyed, and we have to like rebuy them. And I think that's a very good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be very unpopular, but why haven't we thought about ships straight up just being destroyed and you have to buy a new one?
I think because people buy the ships with real money, I just don't think you can do it.
Hmm. Yeah, there are angles I could think to it, but it doesn't. It doesn't solve it. Actually, that's true. Yeah, I mean, the whole problem of insurance is something we'll have to see. Let's see. I mean, besides what I've talked about, I think I've covered most of what I thought.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
and I think I got
yeah.
his mic at the same time. I'm multitasking, baby. But yeah, like I don't know. I love the idea of the travel meaning giving purpose, and I think that that's what could
Hmm.
make Pyro special if there was something that had value in Pyro. But it can't just be monetary value. I can't just be doing the same things that I do now, but doing them in Pyro.
Yeah.
There has to be more to it.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
Just a
yeah,
lot they have to build upon
of
to
course,
to make that
of course,
happen.
absolutely. But I don't think so. I think a little gold sinks go a long way.
Yeah, I agree.
Then you have orgs working together and people going, all right, well, we need you guys to go make money because we need components to go do what we want to do. You know, I think it starts building upon each other and actually like player interaction goes up and yeah.
Yeah.
But goddamn, just some fucking matchmaking with PES can go a long way as well.
Yeah, that was a
That could
pain to
make a
hear.
massive difference. So we'll see.
Yeah. Hopefully,
But all right, Ben. It sounds like
whenever
we're
it comes
done.
out. Yeah, I think I'm done here.
All right,
Thanks a lot.
let's give Night Cobb's mic a try. Let's see how this goes.
Yep. See
All
ya.
right, bro. Talk to you soon. Night Cobb, I just pulled him down, but he's deafened. He wasn't a second ago. We're giving him another try.
I should be good.
You are perfect.
There
So
we go.
was that the fix, or did you just close the program?
No, your fix worked.
Yeah. So the problem with that is you have to do that every time you turn on the computer.
Good to know. Good to know.
It's the reason why I got away from Voice Meter. I couldn't take it anymore. It was so annoying.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I love Voice Meter, very powerful program, but also a pain in the ass. So, Cobb, welcome back to the show.
Thanks.
You're welcome. What were you going to say? And how do you feel about Star Citizen needing a bit more purpose? And what do you think can give it?
So what I was going to say, and I'll apologize now. I kind of missed your conversation with your last caller while I was troubleshooting there.
Understood.
So if I'm rehashing points, just let me know. The big
No
thing,
problem.
though, that I think they can do in the very short term is an accrual system with the insurance expedite claim. And I don't want it to be time, like you said. We don't need
Yeah.
any more time sinks.
Money.
But yeah, exactly. If I, with insurance on my car, even if I crash it every week, every month, the premiums go up.
Yeah.
And it would cost
I
me
live in
more.
Florida. We're
Yeah.
scared shitless what our next insurance is going to be because of how much damage was done by this hurricane 100 and something miles from me.
I totally understand. I'm actually a fellow Florida resident. Hope
Yeah.
you fared okay.
I'm fine. I was on the East Coast. Like we were good, but we don't know what our insurance rates are going to be next year.
No, I feel you. Flooding insurance is definitely a high premium. So
Yeah.
and every time that goes, but that would be the big thing they could do now. I feel like that's relatively simple to implement, where it's like, okay, especially for bring some risk to the PvPers if they're going out and engaging in combat and literally, new ship every hour, every week. Well, eventually that becomes well, if I want to feed my addiction for PvP, I'm going to have to grind up some cash.
Or pay
this.
other people to get it for me or whatever, right?
Yep.
Because again, the time sink is getting the stuff as well, which a lot of people may not want to do, but others would do it maybe for a premium.
Yep.
But
And
then
then
you but
I
then
would
you have to tie it into like, okay, well, why, like, this is what I mean of why we need purpose is, all right, so now you have somebody who's going and taking the time out to get all of the components to sell to another player, let's say. What purpose do they have with their money? It's like, we have to keep building on this. We have to start thinking. It's 2023 almost. We have to start thinking about these things. They have to start implementing them. Star Citizen needs purpose.
Yep. So that would be step one, I think,
Yep.
for the if you want to just handle the ship claim aspect. But
Hmm.
the other part of it is that works for people that engage in a lot of ship combat or high risk evolutions with their ship. But you need the FPS factor too. So I would say, every time you get revived, like that's got to cost money. Hell, every time you go get healed at a hospital or rest stop, something AI NPC controlled, that should
Hmm.
cost you money. Like I pay a bill when I go to a doctor's office, and something as expensive as a revive should cost a significant amount of money.
Who pays
So
the revive when you put out a service beacon? Do you?
you do.
So the
I'm
15K
pretty
comes
sure.
from your account?
Yes, yes. I
Okay.
learned that during Siege of Orison recently, actually, and I kind of like that about it. I noticed that my money was gradually dropping because I went down like 3 times because I was in a good clean server and the AI were actually like paying attention.
Hmm.
Started underestimating them, in fact, because I thought they were still derp squad and thought I could literally run up and knife a few, and then next thing you know, 2 or 3 of them are gunning me down.
Nice.
Uh, yeah, it was a fresh awakening for Siege of Orison, but I noticed with the revives, not only were the injuries starting to accrue, but I noticed my wallet was starting to take that hit with the 15K. But if a death is more expensive to revive in a hospital. So like you go into a bunker, you go down, and then it's going to cost you 30, maybe 40K to do a full revive at a rest stop, or maybe it's a little bit less at a hospital because the facilities are better. Um, so maybe there's some choice there about where you base uh, in relation, or maybe it's distance related. If your revives all the way across the system, maybe that costs you more money in addition to the time.
Yeah.
Any of those factors, but if it costs more for me to be fully revived in backspace, not just the equipment, I mean the equipment too, but I'll definitely that'll force more player interaction to get somebody to come and actually revive me. If 15K is a better deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's the
Um,
same thing with refueling. People are dying to play these roles, but players would rather just backspace or whatever, right? Like they'll
yep,
just go the quicker, easier route than interacting with players. So you're creating purpose for a player like I would love to get a Cutlass Red and run around and do medical beacons all day. Throw them in the
yep,
med bed, cure their injuries and just talk to people and have a good time. But
yep.
no, it's just never going to happen in the current experience.
Well, I mean, I think that's what you're talking about, though. If you do that in the short term, that's a short-term easy fix to insert a cost to revives.
Yeah.
Now, I know a lot of people, new players, are going to freak out when I say that because the starting money is 20K and a bug hits you, and if I say a revive costs 30K, but that's an easy fix too. Like one, I don't know why the starting money is so egregiously low. Give them 100K to start something,
Mm.
um, or insert a debt accrual system. That's relatively easy to do. Maybe okay, yep, you're in debt. You can still buy stuff, but you're not going to be able to make major purchases till you're out of the red. Something along those lines. So then there's a definite need for money, and there's still an opportunity to go get it. Stuff. And then the other thing I would say would be an easy thing because I want to touch on most of the game loops that are kind of mostly built out. Mining modules and lasers. Like they need a mining modules already have a use factor. You
Yeah.
use it 5 times and they're essentially gone to you. But I think you can essentially when you do a restock, don't they reload? I'm not a big miner.
I don't know. I
Okay.
don't think so.
Um, I see. As long as
If
they
they
don't
do now, that's
restock,
new to me. That's
it,
new.
yeah. I mean, actually, if it's a restock feature, as long as you're paying the cost for them, that's fine.
Yeah.
But the other big thing would be all you need is the same thing on the laser heads. Like make them similar in that cost where it's like you want a good laser that's good at mining the one thing that people are really, mining these days. At least in the short term, it solves that problem of, okay, I've got to mine, but I've got to be profitable in my mining so that I can continue to pay the upkeep and cost of my lasers. And I would love it to be ship component wear more in the power plant and all that kind of stuff. But I just don't think we're there yet. That technology's, a little bit further down the road. So I don't want to give that as the short term. But I think it would be easy to do that. It seems like you could just build it into the same thing as the modules. Is like, okay, that helix is good for 5 rocks,
Yeah.
and then it's done. Or that's an arbitrary number. It could be
Yeah,
set
of
higher
course, of
based.
course, of course.
But that would be the idea. Is like the knowledge that like I've only got so many rocks before I got to replace this laser, and that's a cost. So I need to search means of profit. Those are my short term.
Yeah.
I got a
I
few
mean,
long terms, but I
I
think
think we
most people have talked
all
about the
have
rep gating and stuff like that.
dude, and long-term stars, the CIG, we're gonna get all the long-term we need at CitizenCon this year, all
Yeah,
the
for sure.
bullshit that may or may not happen, right? Like I think that those are fun to have those discussions, but I think that there's a couple really decent things, and I'm surprised at how on the same page we all are with each other. I thought that this would have been a more polarizing topic where people would have been way more against creating struggle in the game. I think a lot of the Star Citizen community seems very comfortable with what they have now. And
No, there needs to be money sinks. I can't agree with you more that there has
yeah,
to be a money sink. I want to struggle in this universe. I want it to be meaningful when I complete, a bunker mission for 90K.
yeah.
In
To be
terms of
clear, we're
like,
not
okay,
talking
that
about like
just
mobile game struggles here, where it's like purposefully gated to be
no,
impossible.
no, no.
Like but
Yeah,
yeah, a little struggle, man. Little struggle goes a long
yeah.
way.
It should be a big deal when you finally build up enough money to buy that next ship. And even
Yes.
if that ship only costs, a mil two, and it's a Gladius light fighter, it doesn't. If that's what your final upgrade was, after a month of playtime, and of good planning on your part to make sure that you didn't lose too much money on the sinks already embedded in the game,
Hmm.
then that's good on you.
Yeah.
That's rewarding the careful player, the smart player, the prepared player, and less so the um, screw around and find out kind of
Yeah.
player.
Yeah.
And I think that's valuable. And not only that, but it would probably promote more organized gameplay. That's more people going into bunkers together because even cheaper than throwing out a 15K medical beacon is your buddy in the bunker with you with a med gun who can just revive you and vice versa. That costs you nothing.
Yeah.
And then, granted, it takes a split in the profits, but at the same time, okay, well, I don't incur as much risk. I don't risk losing that money or taking profit margins out for um, or even just having an organization where you've got medics that maybe you just, they give you a discount, something
Yeah.
more organized gameplay.
I
So,
mean, I don't know why it keeps popping in my head. I think it was the last caller with Ben who just said, just change, just bounce around and change the commodity prices a little bit every once in a while. How many
yeah.
how many years have we had the same commodity prices? I'm not like we're
Uh,
not even talking about patches. We're talking about years.
yeah.
How is that
I,
fucking acceptable at this point?
I have a lot of questions about why Tony Z is not doing a CitizenCon podcast.
I'm on a
Or not
Tony Z
podcast, but the panel.
rampage. I'm on a
Yeah.
Tony Z rampage at this point. Like I am not happy with any of that. Where are you? What have you been doing this whole time? And why does none of it have any value to any player playing Star Citizen? You got your
Yeah.
tests. I heard the tests went well. Congratulations. Glad your tests went well. When are they going to start affecting players?
Yeah. I I have theories about why we're not hearing from him. I have this theory that he's locked in a basement with that whole quantum team, and they're just waiting in the wings on the proving of persistent entity streaming and then following that static server
Yes.
meshing. If
Yes.
they could, because I think it's critical
Yes.
to them that they get those two core technologies online, because Tony Z wants, with quantum simulation, knows that one of the biggest parts of that is going to be, I need a server database that is going to support my virtual AI and my back-end technology for
Yes.
my bots, my quanta, and the changing of commodities and that persistence within a shard and its replication layer. And until he sees that technology work, I have a feeling, this is just a feeling, that he just doesn't want to talk to us. It's like,
This is
it's not even a point.
the floodgate theory. This is what I call the floodgates theory.
I hope that's true. Don't be wrong. I've got fears that maybe they're just sitting in the basement there, and we can't get this to work, guys. we can't say that, but we can't get this to work.
Yeah, I think that's maybe more what it is. I don't even think that that's what it's kind of weird because it does work.
It should.
Prices of fuel changed. They're just not prices that they don't seem to be prices that are impacting players enough. Like they're not the gold sinky.
No, they're like, it's like the difference between like a fraction of a cent of fuel and like 2 fractions of a cent. So they mean nothing essentially
Yeah.
in terms of gameplay. They were a proof of concept, it feels like. And like you said, it's like, okay, did the test work? Awesome. But it doesn't change gameplay in any meaningful way. If it did, then that'd be a whole other thing, and you'd see a lot more Starfarer pilots running around like trying to better deal the system. And I think that's what would have been desired. But at the same time, I'm wondering if they did a small enough test so that it didn't crush gameplay or dramatically impact the way things were to the point where players got frustrated that maybe there aren't enough Starfarer pilots running around. Fuel
Mm-hmm.
prices got too exorbitant. But at the same time, they increased the cap of that 100 player servers, and I noticed when that happened, and I'm guessing a balance had to be struck, especially after that. Listening to that Star Citizen live the other day, there used to be a lot more probability volume right after 317.2 got released before they up the cap, or 317.1, whichever one they did it between, where I was getting interdicted by pirates considerably more often.
Yeah.
And nice floodgates. I like it.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. But all of a sudden now it's like I barely see AI interdictions, and I wonder if there's a tax in the probability volumes in the quanta simulation with more players in the server, more entities, while it's all client based.
Man,
So
I
they have to
hope.
make a decision.
I hope, but I hold out hope that there's other dependencies that they'll need, but right now I don't know.
Yeah. But I think that's the ultimate. That can be a big money sink and a
Yeah.
big potential earner too for players to make smart decisions and evaluate how best to spend their time and their money based on the economy. Not to mention the risk incurred with like mining, cargo hauling, and stuff like that. That's where you start putting more money sinks into the system that are player driven. Like, okay, I've got more probability volumes of every time I haul cargo. Maybe there's a 40% chance that I get interdicted by pirates on the most valuable trade lane. Well, now I've got to pay escorts.
Yeah.
So I have to ensure enough profit to make sure that I can pay Gladius pilots to guard me from AI, because this caterpillar is not good in
And
a
players
fight.
built entire orgs like wanting to do this stuff.
Exactly.
You know?
And if you can drive that economy and drive those own like money sinks, those are even more uh, engaging than the short-term solutions that I offered. I think that's a better long-term solution, is realistic money sinks that are player engaged, rather than just arbitrarily saying, okay, well, it's going to cost you 30K for a revive at a hospital, but you can do that in the short term. And it
Yes,
makes
like I
sense
think
from a
we should
gameplay
look,
perspective.
because the short term stuff is something that could be done in one patch. It could be done in a 0.1 patch. Like this is not this is like we need the fucking Gray Cat racetrack of purpose, right? We need game
Yeah.
designers and artists and props people and all these things to care about purpose and not a fucking racetrack. As cool as that racetrack is, and I think it's a really neat idea, we somehow need to inspire the devs to do shit like this, not shit like that. That's why people make fun of that thing. That is a cool thing. He was inspired by the racing community. How do we inspire designers and other developers to make simple changes to give more purpose and make the game feel, give it more oomph, you know? I don't know.
I know. I just get I get the feeling that a lot of that's just locked behind. They're just not talking about it, but it's locked behind other either technologies or deliverables that are yet to come. And they're just like, well, we don't want to talk about those things because ultimately we're going to change the system until these other deliverables are in there.
Yeah, but
And it's
open
like, well, there's
development.
no point. I know, I'm with you. I think they should talk about it. It'd be really great to know that, like, hey, listen, we have finished the work on these 3 things, and we're waiting to implement them. We're ready to give you these things to you guys. We got to wait on this other 2 technologies that are in the pipeline coming down the road, and as soon as they're in, we can start integrating these other 3. Yeah, I know it's a floodgate. It's a floodgate thing. You're pointing at it. Yeah. Uh, but I mean, that's the conversation you want, right?
Yes, I would love for the floodgates to open. But I've been waiting for 7 years.
It doesn't even have to be a big floodgate. I'm okay with it if it's like, hey, listen, cargo refactor. You want to know why we're not talking about it? We are waiting on. I pick
No
something random and
chance.
small.
Okay,
Yeah,
our call's gone way too long, so we got to stop
fair
it
enough.
here. There is a not like a 0% chance they're holding anything back to open the floodgates because the garbage content that has been video content for so fucking long, they are anytime Jared has a morsel to share, he shares it. There is and just in history, there has not been anything that Jared has held back for. If anything, he's shown it too early. So, like, I do not buy the floodgate theory with Star Citizen anymore. I used
So why
to,
do you
but I
think?
don't. I think
All
it's
right.
just
Well, why do you
I
think they're not talking about cargo refactor then?
because it doesn't work. Because PES is being really problematic, and it's a piece of a major piece of the patch.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I think it's as simple as that. Sadly, I don't think it's a conspiracy. I don't think it's anything deep. I think it just doesn't work.
I wonder what the cost of saying that then would be. Be like, hey, listen, the reason we're not doing an ISC on cargo refactor is as simple as we can't get it to work right now with PES. We're working it out. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't.
God, that would be very refreshing to hear.
I think we could all stand here. We're big boys and girls. We can hear the negatives when they come. But I don't know. That's just my 2 cents.
I don't think we are, and I don't think they are either. And I think it's a bigger problem that they aren't. They have to, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen kind of scenario. I think a lot of them can't stand the heat, and unfortunately they are in a position that they've put themselves in where they're going to be in the heat until they start delivering for the game. I don't think anybody deserves the hate that they get at the community or from the community and the developers that get it. It's just really bad. But at the same time, they have to be comfortable with being open and sharing what's going on, especially when things are as late as they are.
Yeah, I know they're under the timeline pressures, and they have the clickbait, 10 years, $500 million, and all that kind of stuff that basically weighs down on those guys. And then of course, the toxicity that breeds in the community
Yeah.
when deadlines are missed, even if they're not really promised as deadlines, so on and so forth. But it's just, I don't know. I feel like if you actively follow the game in the software development, you understand software development in any way, that it's like sometimes they're reaching. It's ambitious beyond anything I've ever seen. So it would not surprise me, and it shouldn't surprise anybody else, when something just doesn't work right off the bat, and it's a
Yeah.
struggle to get the technology online. And if they're honest and forthright about it early and, continuously and say, yeah, we're really working on this technology. We really want this technology to work, but it is a true obstacle and hurdle right now, and there are things that we didn't take into account that are springing up now as we're bringing the technology online. It's taking time, more time than we thought. We're sorry, but we're working on it, and we
Yep.
promise that's our primary focus.
Yep.
And then that's okay.
Yeah.
That's an okay conversation to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we'll end it here tonight because you're over by like 5 minutes on my timer. So,
Fair enough. Sorry
but it was
about that.
no, it's okay. It was a really good call and I enjoyed it, so we kept going. But
Well, thanks for
I
having me
appreciate
on.
it,
I
man.
appreciate it.
Thanks for
Yeah,
coming
you
on.
too.
Good luck with voice meter.
Thanks.
Bye, man.
Appreciate that too.
Later. All right, our next caller is Illegal Guy. Hello, Illegal.
Yo, what's up?
What's up?
I'm just chilling, So it's a hop on.
Okay. What do you want to talk about? Since we
maybe
are
Star Citizen.
actively developing this for our own game as we speak, is how do we create purpose for our own little game that me and Illegal Guy make?
I mean, I guess I'll start off with one question for you.
Okay.
What was the biggest, most meaningful thing that happened at the start of this patch? Hint, hint.
The wipe.
No, we did ourselves.
Oh, our gun running?
Yeah, the gun running, right?
Yeah.
So I think it kind of boils down to that, where we need more gameplay, we need more stuff to do. So as good as it is to like put in, here's a money sink that's going to force you to engage with parts, the real problem is there isn't enough stuff to do, which, that's not an answer though, because, oh great, just put in more gameplay, CIG, fixed. So you kind of need to look at it from that respect, where it's the gameplay came out of the fact we had all these weapons and they removed access to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like in most open world games, you as you play the game longer, you unlock new abilities, you unlock new stuff to do.
Yep.
And Star Citizen needs to do the same thing. And they inadvertently did that with the patch where we unlocked the ability to essentially get rocket launchers, get railguns. So they kind of need to look at trying to do that in other ways, I reckon, rather than just throwing money, because money's just always, it's the easy go-to. So,
yeah, and then the other thing is you got to kind of ask why, at least why I stopped doing it, because we didn't have the tools to make it. It was so complicated.
Yeah,
it was such
like
a
there's
pain
not enough
in the ass.
There's just
we don't
not
even
enough
have a
like
trade
supporting
window.
it.
Yeah, we don't.
Like you want the sandbox to have the tools to facilitate you to you to do what you want. So you want to be able to easily trade. You want to be able to like take these parts and bring it together in a way to do the gameplay you want. But they're so slow to implement that stuff, which is again like fair enough. Like it is what it is. No point like bashing them over it.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess the one idea I've had, which could be somewhat meaningful and they could implement, would be kind of like I guess it would be kind of like Tarkov and the Dark Zones in what was its name, The Division, where essentially like every planet has like an area that's locked off. They put the bubble over it. You cannot fly into this area unless you have X amount of rep. Then they'll give you like a spline, however the hell you want to enter, and that area just has higher loot. There's no crime tracking on it, and it's just go get what you want from there. Other people might be there. They might have entered from another area. Who knows? It's much more emergent, and it gives you a thing to aim for. Yeah. Like, it's a smaller version of it, but it's just implement some form of gameplay and unlocking. So it's the core idea of, like, you're unlocking this new region that has higher loot, versus right now, every region's kind of the same with occasionally you figure out, oh, this derelict has good loot, and so you just stick to it and no one else really knows about it.
My question to you about that then is, what is higher loot? Because again, I've said it with a few callers. Unfortunately, higher loot just means like it sells for more money, and that's not good enough.
That's why I tried to go for other things.
Yeah.
So the reason I say higher loot is, so Star Citizen doesn't want like ship progression, right? Like I mean it does, but it's like one-time purchases, and once you get it, you're done.
Yeah.
So what other types of progression are there? And clearly gear is one they want to do. So rather than just having strictly oh, this chess piece blocks 10% damage, next one does 15%. You want to do more interesting stuff. So I reckon, like tools and such. So a rocket launcher that can blow up. I remember a while back they were showing like the breaching tools that can open doors.
Mm-hmm.
So like, but the issue is all of these are gameplay features, but that's kind of what you need to do to make it meaningful. Like it's, what good is it if it doesn't change what you're already doing? But that's why I'm trying to give examples of stuff they've shown and that's relatively like completed. Like even the hacking tool, for example, because say, you got rep with a faction to get the breaching tool, breach company, whatever, they finally sell you it. And when you're doing missions now, that one door that's closed, you can open with the breaching tool to get rewards from. Kind of like a Metroidvania where you didn't have access to this thing. Now that you've gotten rep, you now have access and you're rewarded.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that kind of back and forth. But then it's always the same problem of, okay, but what's the reward? Money, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's kind of circular and there isn't a good way to solve that without rewarding you in some kind of ability or gameplay. And that's why I think adding pyros like gonna help a decent amount, because as much as it is like, oh, I'm just entering a new map essentially, it does like facilitate that kind of lawlessness. It's just, I think pyro has a problem with it's going to be over like, it's really, really big. So like the moment you've got the 100 players split over 2 systems, like outside of like the launch where everyone wants to go there, it's going to start becoming a bit more, it's going to start dying down.
It's going to be rough. It's going to be rough.
But that's always kind of the problem. But I mean, there's other things they can do as well, because purpose to me and you is different to other players.
Absolutely.
There's so what was it called? There's this hierarchy, a Bartol's taxonomy, that's it, where it's basically the types of MMO players. So I think it was like there's like competitive, social, like explorer and achiever, right? Okay. So different things will be rewarding to each person. Like the competitive person wants the best weapons, the best guns. They want to beat other players, So these are like the PvPers, the people who compete, right? So, their rewards will be like better guns, the best ships. And then the more social players, that's like, a better ship, better gun, they don't care about that because they're there for player interaction. That's what, that's where you want to do stuff like events bringing players together and making them do stuff together, which there's a lot less of. I guess the, Horizon and whatnot does that, but they could lean more into it. Like one idea I had for that a while back was when you do Horizon, as a formal progression, would be like you kind of just get like a hidden like perk or something in the back end where NPCs might just comment on like, oh, you're the hero who like lifted the siege in Horizon. It doesn't have to be like even giving you money or anything, just basic little lines that'll just help so much.
Lots of MMOs you get a title, right?
Yeah, like just
thing.
A small thing where it's not game breaking, but it really helps, especially if these events come and go, where eventually when you've had your player for a long time, they'll have all these little perks, and then, you're wandering with your friend for an area, and just NPCs saying a thing like, why are they saying that to you and not me, right? Yeah. Or even a vendor just gives you free food, like, here's a hot dog, I remember you, you're the greatest. But again, that's like going into Imagine Land. What else? Like, I think the other role was like explorers. That's kind of where my like dome idea was a bit of an implementation where it's like here's an area you can't go into. Yeah, exactly. Like you can't go in here. You can't access that room in the derelict. Like here's a reward for that. Like you want to focus on giving players like the thing they're engaged in rather than just going, here's the fix all money. Because after a certain point, what do you do with the money? Because I frankly like, I kind of like to dabble in all these areas and I don't care about money at all. Once I've got my ships and my guns, like...
Yeah, like I've had way more fun just hanging out and playing and not caring about how much we made at the end of our play session than I have in a while.
That's the much more important part.
The money doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, like it's a metric for like your success, but initially it will be meaningful when you're quite broke and you're struggling towards them. After a certain point, you're just like, I guess I can try to make enough money to buy every ship. Like, I don't know. Like, just ridiculous stuff, but it's just like because it doesn't have a use. And I don't think taxing players harder really changes a great deal other than for like the early game. Like, it will definitely make the early game more interesting because you're much more worried about your money and you've got like money going out, not just you're always gaining money. Because
Yeah.
like dying doesn't really cost you other than your time, with lots of arbitrary waiting. Like who was it suggested? Increasing like reclaim times, like really what does like that's just wasting more time. This game
Yeah.
already does plenty of that.
But increasing how much it costs exponentially I thought was a very
Yeah,
good idea.
exactly. Yes, and that was a very good idea, which
Mhm.
would definitely make you question what, because it's just like it just makes you have to care, right? It makes you just have to go, I could, if I'm just a little bit more careful, I can deal with this, and it's not going to hit me nearly as bad. Like the exponential part, die once, twice, not a big deal. 4 or 5, okay, I'm getting worried. And past that, it's sort of like maybe you should switch games.
I don't know about that. I die a lot, and you will die a lot to bugs, right? As well.
I'm just joking. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I think that was the bigger problem when they tried to implement it before. Was it genuinely was you just regularly die to bugs for no reason? It's like this is not the time to be pushing this implementation. Like you can't make people have to wait an hour for like half the ships because I QT'd into the planet, which regularly still happens.
Yep.
But that's the thing. It's like it's always looking at the end goal. Like like I'm relatively okay with the idea. It's just not right now. Like sure, keep that in your pocket. Do that later. Don't do that now because you're just gonna make people hate you.
Yeah, for sure. But I guess we're up on around your 10 minutes. Is there anything else you want to
add? Just remember, guys, play Eco Plus. Coming to you soon.
Season 7 coming soon. Yeah, hashtag ad, I guess.
All right, take care, man.
All right, later, buddy. All right, and our final caller for the day, because I said I was going to do about 5, and still more people jumped into the queue, is Smiling Viking. Can you hear me, man?
Yes, I can. How's it going?
It's going great. Let me get your name on the screen. And then what are your thoughts on all this?
Oh, my thoughts on all this are long and varied.
All right, well, you got to make it 10 minutes.
Yeah, we'll try, man.
Okay.
To the original point, Star Citizen needs purpose. Exactly. That's something I've been saying forever.
Are you from New Jersey?
I'm from New York.
Okay, close enough. You sound it.
Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Long Island actually. So it's
yeah.
It's that Jersey thing, definitely.
Yep.
I like to say it's a strong island thing.
Nice. These Europeans watching won't have a clue what's going on.
Yeah, they don't.
But we know it's okay.
We know. So yeah, where was I? All right. So we definitely need stuff to give us a reason to be in game. Like you said, we need money sinks is the easiest way I've been thinking of to do it. Because there is fun to be had in Star Citizen. When it works, I enjoy bunker missions. I enjoy bounty missions. I enjoy doing the things in the game when they work, obviously,
Sure.
which isn't always the case. But when they're there, it's a good thing. I just need more reasons to do them. I spend an evening running bunker missions, and they get repetitive and they get boring. We're all MMO players. I realize it's kind of sketchy to call Star Citizen MMO, but it's supposed to be at some point.
Current state. Ooh, sorry, I whacked the mic.
Exactly. So for the purposes of this conversation, let's go with the assumption that one day it will be.
Yeah.
And we've all played MMOs where we're used to grinds. I don't mind a grind necessarily if it has a purpose, if there's a reason to it.
Yep.
Currently what I do is I log in, I run missions, and I upgrade all my ships. So when all my ships have all their parts upgraded to grade A tier 1 components, then I've got no game left. That's the end of my game loop.
Yep.
And even though those components don't really do much for me at the moment, there's just nothing else for me to spend my money on.
Exactly. And some of them do, like shields do make a little bit of a difference. Quantum Drive absolutely makes a difference.
Yes, Quantum Drives is 100%. Yeah.
There's a few that matter. Coolers, not so much. Weapons, a little bit, maybe.
Yep, and it gives me an excuse to play around with them. I'll put a stealth drive in one ship just to do something. Do a different loadout for something. Just to be different. So, there's a little something there, but, that really doesn't go very far. we need longer term syncs. The one I've leaned towards most have been like apartments and hangar rentals, rental fees, storage fees, um, things like that. Because I like as I log in, if I have, there was a time when we had persistent habs. We were able to put stuff there and then it would stay there.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago and it went away, and I don't really understand why. But
Because
even
it's not
something,
part of the actual game, I guess. So it's just
yeah,
like, yeah, we're not supporting this anymore because it's not what we intend to do. We're almost
you
there,
know,
bro. We're
hopefully,
super. They're actively. I think they scheduled it at least. May possibly be working on it as well, not on a Sunday, but at this point, the freight elevator, which is like a big piece of what they want to be persistent hangers.
yeah.
And then from there, you have persistence, you have persistent hangers. It's just up, and this is like the problem with them. It's just up to them is how far are they going to go to support it and give it meaning and give it life. If I know
Yeah,
them,
well,
not at
there's
all,
a question.
unfortunately.
I've heard the argument on whether or not those freight elevators are even going to be in this first iteration of the cargo refactor.
I don't think there's any chance. This is not the cargo refactor. This is refactoring cargo boxes.
Yeah, yeah, and that's
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 my guess.
disappointing to me. I think we all had higher hopes for it.
Yeah.
But it's that type of stuff that's really it's gonna get me to play more consistently, and even to run those missions endlessly and not get so bored and feel so bad about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it'll have a purpose in the end. I will have placed my CitizenCon 2948 trophy on the shelf of a hab, and I won't want the rent on that hab to run out,
Yeah.
because I don't want to see that trophy end up in the hands of Billy Bob Joe Bob
Yo,
on
I'm Billy
Storage
Bob.
Wars.
I'm storage worrying all your shit.
Exactly.
I'm coming there with a wad of cash. Yep.
Exactly. That's a reason for me to grind. Even as stupid and simple as that is, that will keep me going at
Mhm.
least long enough. And these are things we've been promised, and but that's the thing, is like, how long is the wait until we get those stuff? When that was the thing that was in. So
Yeah.
I mean, because I disagree with your I disagree with losing components on
Okay.
ships every time you blow up. I like the idea of durability, having them wear down over time, but losing them every time you lose your ship, that seems extreme to me. It's, at least in the current situation of the game.
What if the game calculated the value of all the components on your ship and charged you more to claim it?
I
Same
think that would be
concept,
excellent.
less time sink.
I think that would be excellent.
Okay.
I think we need a much more robust insurance system.
Mhm.
I personally would like to see an insurance system where, like, you click to insure the ship and it comes up with sort of a drop down list, and you got like check boxes of which components you want to insure, or something like that. Maybe even like levels of insurance, maybe just a base level of insurance just gives you back a stock hull of your ship, but a platinum level insurance will give you back all your components, things like that. Like I said, a much more fleshed out and robust insurance system than we currently have.
Yeah.
But that's the situation with a ton of Star Citizen systems, is that they're all tier 0 implementations. None of them are a fraction of what we were promised and what we expect to be delivered.
Yeah.
People playing the game now think, oh, this is it. Oh, they just need to add armor and combat is done. No,
No, bro.
there's so much more.
There's a trillion things.
Yeah, and by the time we get even close to beta, the gameplay is going to be so drastically different. It's not even going to be the same game.
Oh no, we're not
So
playing Star Citizen right now.
Exactly, we're not playing anything
You're
close
just
to that,
playing
you know.
planetary, the procedural planet module, basically.
hmm But like one of the things, I don't feel like we should lose components, because I think that the part of losing components that you're looking for, in that, parts that we need to maintain and replace, I think that'll be added with subcomponents. Subcomponents will blow up and break and need to be replaced constantly, so we'll be
I
able to
think the whole thing
repair the
should too.
components.
I
I
want it
agree.
deeper than that.
I like the durability system, having them wear down over time. I
Sure.
think just losing them every time on death is harsh, especially in the current game when a lot of gameplay revolves around how fast you can get back to what you were doing. If I
Yeah.
have to replace because I remember it back when we didn't have,
Sure.
when we did lose the components and everything, and it was annoying to get back into a fight, making
Sure.
sure I got, a dozen Omni Skies stored at the station, so I can, re-equip everything as quick as I can and get back out there. That was a chore, and
Of course.
I wouldn't be happy to go back to that. But I agree that we need, longer term maintenance. We need reasons to engage with the repair systems of our ships. To go to lead into another point, and in defense of Tony Z, ever so slightly, they introduced those few bits of quantum with 317, and I don't remember whether or not it was actually stated, but I was under the understanding that more of that was to come with the cargo refactor, but that was now 8 months ago. So his stuff was supposed to come with the cargo refactor. They haven't delivered the cargo refactor, so that's not.
I'm just waiting for his stuff to impact me, and then I will
I
happily
agree. I
praise
am
him.
too.
But I am done praising this guy and done caring about anything he says on a fucking PowerPoint until it's actually impacting me. I'm so sick of his shit. I'm sorry. Like whiteboard
enough.
with 6,000 things on it when all we need is one. Start with one.
Whiteboards are fun.
Yeah. So I'm tired of the guy. He's public enemy number one for me at this point. Do something. Do something meaningful. Because what have you been doing this whole time? It's tough, man. It's tough to deal with. Because he's been on the forefront of all these dynamic events that I feel are making an impact on the game, but also having a negative impact.
Yeah.
Not pushing the game forward as much as maybe we would have liked. Yeah, he's my punching bag right now, chat. That's sorry. If I look in one direction of like what's holding the game back, it's the economy. It's all these things. So who do you look at? You look at the guy who's done now 3 different PowerPoints, but nothing in the game. So it's frustrating. But that punching bag could turn into a trophy that a fucking idol that I worship if it actually delivers,
You're absolutely right. But to me, all that relies on persistence, which is getting PES in, which isn't necessarily Tony's deal. So
agreed.
he's waiting on other people, which again, that goes back to, one of the bigger problems of Star Citizen is that the whole thing is just like a quagmire of prerequisites and interdependencies. And one thing doesn't work without the other. And this can't be developed until that's ready. And that can't be ready until this other thing is done and tested. And, it's just a mess. And it's what makes it look like they have no overall direction and development is meandering.
Well, but the other issue is then you pile on top of that, but the patch has to be stable, the game has to look good. It's not traditional game or software dev.
Yes, and they have this way, when you look at the actual time frames of things, I mean, we've been waiting around for this thing forever. But when you look at, game development, 10 years is not necessarily an unheard of amount of time to develop a game like this. The thing that they do is that they show us stuff and make us feel as though it's right around the corner. When it like the whole fire thing,
I'll
I
take
was
I'll
under the
take an even
impression that
a
we
better
would
one.
our ships were going to be on fire next week.
I wasn't at
the way,
all. I
yeah,
thought that one was more clear. I think I can.
that
I
one
think you're 100% right. I'll give I think a better example for what you're trying to say. Remember when they gave us the ability to trade money with each other?
yes.
They talked about the next steps.
Mm-hmm.
So the next steps sound like, well, after we finish this step, we go on to the next step. Because that's how steps work. You don't jump down from one floor to the next. You take each step down to get down to, to the next floor. And the next step never happened.
Yeah, because
They
they
just-
failed to mention the 27 other steps from 32 different systems that needed to happen before that next step for that system could happen.
No, I don't even think it's that. Like, the next step was a trade window. I'm sorry, persistence doesn't need a fucking trade window. It's a UI thing.
No,
It's
it needs building blocks and a Moby
which
Glass rework.
exists. It
Yeah,
exists.
but we just got it, and they're still working on the Moby Glass.
I
Well,
mean, you're right. I'm not going to argue
I
with
say
you because
we
you're
just
right.
got it. We got it, 9 months ago, but
Yeah.
that's one patch cycle at this point.
Like, you're right. I'm not going to argue with something that's absolutely true, but at the same time, they were working. Building blocks was a thing back then. Building blocks is what made that app, dude.
Yeah.
So
But
it's like,
that was the first part of building blocks. No more of building blocks got implemented until this past patch, when they apparently implemented a chunk of it, but not enough to get the Moby Glass in.
this patch is the first time anything else with with building blocks has been put into the game. I'm confused because that's not true.
I thought so.
No, it's been constant. It's just been little things. It's been elevator panels. It's been
Oh yeah, good point.
like
Okay, yes.
yeah, it's
was-
what they prioritized elevator panels over that. It's always been a priority thing. It's not necessarily a dependency thing. It could be a
Yes, I
dependency
forgot
thing,
about elevator panels.
but it's not
and
just
yeah, those
elevators.
little
There's been
things like
other
that.
there's been other little things. I mean, but then you see them making massive hologram building blocks things. So who was doing that when you could have been making a trade window? That's where I look at it, is like, where are the priorities? What are, like, are your priorities on the topic of today's show giving Star Citizen more, making it deeper, giving it more purpose, or is it making it look cool to continue to sell stuff? The more you look at it, it just looks worse and worse and worse. It's hard to argue against the haters of this game these days. They make it so hard. I don't believe they're right, but they make it so hard.
Yeah, absolutely. I still have hope, but I agree.
too.
It's so difficult. It's so difficult. It can be so frustrating to play the game and just wait and wait and wait. And we see ISCs and SCLs that don't really give us any new information. They just hype us more on the information that we already have, making us feel like it's right around the corner. And, like I was saying, it's not necessarily how long we've been here. It's that we've been on the edge of our seat the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a really good
it's
point.
frustrating and it's exhausting.
Yeah,
I'm
exhausted.
It just wears one out to to follow development of this game.
Yeah, agreed. It's it's
But
tough.
yeah, original point. Star Citizen needs purpose. Absolutely, we need those elements that make it feel more like an MMO. We need persistent things and money sinks. Hangars, habs, rental fees, repair. All of these game systems just need to be further fleshed out so that they actually cost us stuff.
Man,
There is potential for money sinks in just about every area of the game. They just
Yep.
need to be expanded.
Yep. And it's not one of these, like, the expansion of that money sink is not some massive undertaking, like, you know, adding salvage to the game, cargo refi. Like, we're not asking for these major things, I don't think. I think we're just asking for a little bit. And it could take a quarter, it could take 2 quarters, it could take 3 quarters to make. I don't know how long it would take, but I would prioritize that over many things they've prioritized up to this point.
You know, yeah. Well, like earlier, you gave the example of the medical beacons, you know, and I've
Yeah.
tried that too. I would love to be able to go around in a red and just fill medical beacons.
I mean, you
But
want to interact with
there's
players? What better way, right?
exactly, you know, but there are problems beyond just like the medical system. You know, chances are, if I go to try and fill a medical beacon, it's someone who's fallen down in a bunker, you know, so
Yep.
I'm going to go to that bunker and the turrets are going to take me out.
Yeah.
You know, and then if I do manage to park outside range of the turrets and drive a vehicle in and go through all this effort, I'm going to get down there. I still got to fight the NPCs just to
Take
get
a
to this
crime
guy.
stat.
Exactly. You know, I'll have a, you know, crime stat 4 by the time I get out of there to make 15K. You know, that's not really that's not all that worth it.
Yeah.
You know, but you can sort that by fleshing out the reputation and criminality system so that the guy going in to rescue doesn't necessarily get attacked. You know, I can see still being attacked by Ninetales, you know, but security should, you know, take a tip from that somehow. You know, that doesn't seem like a huge implementation to me. But then again, you know, I'm no game dev, so I don't know how much work it would take.
Yeah, who knows?
You
But
know, but it's those things that are eventually going to give us what we need.
true. I think this is a good place to stop, Viking, but I appreciate your call. And
Absolutely. I'm
yeah, man.
holding the charging cord into my headphones at this point.
Oh, no. Well, all right. I'll let you go definitely then. So thanks
All
for
right.
calling in.
Take
That was
it easy,
really
man.
fun. You too. Stay safe. All right, guys. That is Answer the Call. Star Citizen needs some purpose. I didn't think we were going to have a show today. And that turned out to probably be one of our better shows maybe ever, in terms of conversation and back and forth and good ideas and all that stuff. It was really, really fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. And yeah. Thank you for watching. If you're watching this on Twitch and didn't catch the whole show, it'll be up on YouTube in a little bit. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, comment down below and all that stuff. But I do have a Twitch channel, twitch.tv/SaltEMike, discord.gg/SaltEMike, where we can continue the conversation if you guys like. So stop by. If you're new, say hello. And I will see you guys all next week, where we're going to talk about CitizenCon, where our copium stores will be refilled. And we can discuss all the new things that we expect to be in 2023 that probably aren't going to be ready until 2024. Can't wait. We'll talk to you guys next week. I'm looking forward to it. Finally, there'll be something to talk about. Bye now.